Welcome back. This is the morning show here on Signature TV. It's 9:04 in the morning of the 15th day in the month of May 2025. Charles here. Hope you're good. So today we're switching gears with some interesting discussions as it relates to disaster management. And disaster management, apparently we have two guests in the studio. As it relates to this topic, we have with us Mrs. Eucharia Onwuegbunam. She's a disaster management expert. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
And we also have a second guest, Victor Nabuike Chukwukelu, disaster management expert. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's go with the lady first. So what are the phases of disaster management and how do they interrelate?
Okay. Thank you. There are phases in disaster management, and when you come to Red Cross, we look at the 4 cycles. These 4 cycles are looking at the preparedness, preparing volunteers before the disaster. Then we look at the response. We also look at the recovery, and then mitigation. Those are the areas in disaster management.
So how do they interrelate? Like when you speak of those issues, what are the relationship with all these 4 phases?
Yes, when there is disaster, then we are looking at those that will respond to emergency during this disaster. So they will train volunteers. The volunteers are trained to respond to emergency. So when you now train them, if there is emergency, you now call on the volunteers of the Nigerian Red Cross Society for that action, and immediately they will come in.
Okay, that's an interesting one. You want to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
In the disaster management, like you mentioned, we have mitigation, which is one of the things that happened before and during disaster. In mitigation, you are trying to reduce the likelihood of disaster to occur, okay, and also reduce the risk by mitigation. Preparedness is involved, planning is involved. So the responders are involved in mitigation. The people who are vulnerable to disasters are also involved, so that if there are actions that need to be taken that will reduce the likelihood to the minimal point, those actions will be taken. Then after mitigation, now talk of preparedness. In preparedness, that is also a phase before and during the disaster. In this, you are preparing the responders what they need to do in the midst of responding. The vulnerable persons, the people, the community members, the society that are affected, building their capacity, okay, to be able to respond to this disaster when it has occurred. Then response, which is now what happens when the disaster has occurred. In this, does these people who are affected by disaster, do they need to be evacuated? Do they need temporary shelters? Whether they need food, whether they need water. These are what you do during response. Are there those who were injured? Those that are to be given first aid, which is one of the core things Red Cross does. They'll be given first aid before they are taken to hospital for proper attention. So these are the things that happen. So for mitigation, you are now trying to reduce the risk of this disaster occurring. Then in preparedness, if it occurs, that is the link. If it occurs, you are now to swing into action. Okay, in preparedness, the capacity of those who are responding, okay, so that they'll be able to, they don't just come there and mess things up and worsen the situation. Then also the community members on their own, because when disaster occurs, those who are responding, the agencies that are responsible for responding might not be domiciled in that society. So the community should be able to do one or two things for themselves before those who are responding arrives. So that the building their capacity through education.
But by what you have just said, I can just simply say disaster management is the organization, planning, and responsiveness of it to any action, whether it's man-made or natural disaster, right? By just what you have just explained, like I said, that is what disaster. So the disaster management can be basically anything. It could be accident, it could be flooding, it could be, just practically anything.
Disaster is actually a sudden or gradual disruption in the activities of a community or society, impacting human, materials, environment, economies, okay, whose effect is beyond the coping capacity, okay, of the affected community or society. But because it's beyond their coping capacity, they need external help. So that's what basically disaster is all about.
It's an interesting one. I mean, by just thinking about that, I just thought about the disaster that a whole lot of homes have been facing, given the economy of the country. Some people say they can no longer cope with the new minimum, even with the new minimum wage and cost of food. So do you also help people in that regard? Because again, I'm sure there are tons of people who are seeking help in that regard. Is there a help around that area?
Yes, there is. But before we carry out such help, we always go through needs assessment.
Okay.
Yes, we verify those that need it, because there are some that are better than others. So when we go through needs assessment, we go to the community, we verify those that are in that need. These are the people that we can attend to. One thing is that Red Cross don't just move on its own. We have movement partners. It depends on the type of disaster that occurred. There are some that IFRC will come in. There are some that ICRC will come in. So it depends on the nature of disaster. If it is in armed conflict, IFRC will be the one to intervene, and then we'll work together. Then if it's maybe something like epidemics or epidemics, any health related issue or disaster like that, then IFRC will come into play. So we now go into the community, find out the level of the disaster, then we now find those that are displaced, those that whatever need that is required at that point in time, then we capture those people, then we now go back and then assist them. There are so many ways to assist them. We have what we call a cash transfer program. Red Cross does that. We also have something like Restoring Family Link. There are some, as a result of disaster, they will miss their families. We restore Family Link, we maintain Family Link, a lot of them. Then if it's something like food, they also distribute food relief, we call it relief material. We distribute relief material. That's what is the ones that we have, or what is given to us from our movement partners. Then Red Cross don't just work alone. We work with other stakeholders like NEMA at the federal level. We also work with SEMA at the state level. We also work with LMC at the local government level. So these are the movement partners. It's just like if someone, maybe there is a fire outbreak now, we work with fire service. We don't just go on our own. We have movement partners that we work with. Thank you.
What most of the time, deter organizations like yours in meeting up to standard with managing disasters?
Okay, for managing disaster, like she was trying to say, like for us here in Nigeria is structured. There are emergencies, there are disasters that NEMA is responsible for. Such things, Red Cross don't just get up and move into the affected area. We have to wait for the organization, that the government agency that is responsible for that, to lead the action. Then we'll follow, work with them. If it is a fire outbreak, we don't just get. So that's
a hindrance too. So because sometimes the government is not forthcoming.
Their swiftness. So that's what will, because it is when they move that will move. So the pace at which they move is the pace at which we will move.
Okay.
So that could be an issue.
That's one. Are there other ones? Are there the hindrances that mitigate your quick response to disasters, whether they are man-made, natural, or what have you?
Access to certain communities. And there is a community you want to get to. If it is a riverine area, and you don't have boats,
you must have people who know how to swim in case.
So it's an issue. So you don't just, because you're a volunteer. Because in volunteerism, what we teach people is your safety first. When you come to respond, you watch the environment, ensure that it is safe. You are safety first before you attend to others. Then in certain cases, you might come to some environment, accident scene. You see some other persons who are there to steal. That it happens in Nigeria. There are cases like that. People, and for such people, you have to be able to move them away before you begin to work.
I haven't heard that some persons would even want to beat you up when you tell them to move away from where.
Of course, because they want to get something from there, and you want to be a hindrance to their to what they want to do. So you have to watch and be sure you are safe before you take action as a responder or first aider.
Finance is not a problem?
Anyway, Red Cross is a humanitarian organization. It's donor-based. So
you are lettered. You have money year in, year out. Okay. So let's talk about how we can infuse technology into disaster management. Do you think technology can really assist? Because I don't know how to do it. I watch a lot of news. And when you watch news like I do, for instance, in America, CNN is already telling you a certain cyclone or a certain hurricane is coming that way, and they tell you the speed, they tell you when it would land, they will tell you the amount of persons who must be evacuated. In fact, the thing is so structured that as they even follow up with covering it. And I'm sure that somehow technology is playing a role in that.
Serious role.
So why are we not doing that here?
It is not for us to, because we are just an independent organization in a country. So we complement.
You're a global organization, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so
that's like we have movement partners. And whatever they are going to do for us, I think the government of the country was also supposed to be in the know. So it is for us here, like we mentioned earlier, the agencies that are responsible for certain action that we work with. We don't just, like, assuming now we have that capacity, we can't bypass them and go and begin to, I can't come here.
No, but you can, if you have the capacity, you can provide information to, if for instance a certain millimeter of rain is going to fall in Nigeria or in certain place in the south or in the east or in the north, I mean, you would inform the organization that, look, I don't know if you know about this. This is what we're seeing from our radar, that this is coming. Is there a way we can evacuate people, at least for people who are close to the river run area, to be able to find somewhere upland, so that when the rain is down, then they can return back to their homes?
That we've seen in Nigeria, where even where information comes that a certain dam will be opened at a certain point, the information comes earlier. But at the end of the day, we'll still come down with the effect of such information that was put beforehand. So it is actually a very serious issue.
So if information flow and what we use the information for is also a very
who is supposed to
use the information.
If they don't use it, it becomes useless. That is a challenge. So that you provide information does not mean you force people to use information you've provided. But if we have the capacity, of course, we'll go ahead and provide such information, and we'll hope to get there where we can involve technology in such responses.
Now, I also wanted to say, Madam, let me come to you. There are times where people would refuse to be evacuated. They'll tell you they don't have where to go, even though you provide a place for them to go to. They'll tell you they cannot move, owing to the fact that maybe they are scared that they might not come back, or the government might not allow them to go back. We've seen those situations in the past. When you meet that kinds of scenario, what do you do? Is it a hindrance to giving your service to the people?
Yeah, it's not. We do our best. That's what we call a early warning sign. Those communities are always trained prior to the time. But one thing about human is that one thing Red Cross does is that we don't force people. What I know is that we will tell you, see what will happen at so and so time, or the agencies involved will also tell you at so and so time maybe there will be an overflow from the river bank. Those that should please evacuate. But you see some people, they will say, well, this is my fatherland, I cannot leave this place. And then still later you will see that disaster will occur and affect them. But after the disaster, there is what we call recovery. We still go back to them. We don't just leave them. We go back to them looking for a way to help them, either giving them support or relief material. And that is just human for you. There are some things you cannot change. There are some situations that you cannot just stop at that. But the only thing is that we do give them prior notice to whatever disaster that might come at our level before it happens.
How does Red Cross mobilize volunteers? If people want to help, how do they mobilize volunteers? Because I know that is volunteer based,
Yes.
most of it. So how do you volunteer? How do you get your resources, and how do you mobilize volunteers into it? Because again, some persons will sometimes want to help.
Yeah, volunteerism is one does volunteer out of passion. So anything you are doing because of passion, you will come out fully. It's just a matter of a phone call or putting up notice on a WhatsApp group.
Oh, really?
Yes, we have a different WhatsApp group. We just put up with so and so response here and there. Volunteers will just come out on their own with their resources. Then there are some that we might go that might be because of movement partners. Those ones, they might provide maybe the vehicle that will convey the volunteers to wherever the need may be. So these are just...
What's the response like? Do people really show up for those kinds of things?
Yes, we have trained volunteers.
Oh, wow.
We have those that train different areas. Yes, they do come out. Once you allow them, they'll come out.
Fantastic.
For mobilizing volunteers, like all of us are from Enugu South Division. We have the Enugu State branch of the Red Cross. We have divisions in each local government, and each divisions have their volunteers and have their forum where they meet and pass information. So if the information is meant for the state level, it will be pasted on the state platform. If it is for a particular local government, it will be pasted in the local government platform. If, for instance, something is to happen in Aningri, and it is something that the Aningri division cannot handle, the branch will mobilize, then inform those in Aningri, and also bring other hands from the branch that will go and meet Aningri people to respond to such events, if it is in issues or wherever it is. So already we'll have a pool of volunteers that will have their contacts that can be reached just with a click.
Is it 100% volunteerism? Because I mean, you would have also faced a situation where, when you call for those kinds of people, because since money is not involved, some people will just want to pull away, or maybe stay away, or maybe give you certain 10% commitment, because we see that happen. We're talking monies here. Time is money. If you are not working with money and time, you would probably be a problem. I mean, you imagine having to engage somebody for days. At the end of the day, they just go home. I mean, is it only passion that it comes with? Does it also come with at least a plate of food, or I mean, small stipend to go home with?
Yes, people, you know, in volunteering for Red Cross, there are categories. There are those, by virtue of their social status, they cannot contribute financially. So they contribute their time and effort. There are those who also can contribute financially. So for those, because of their social status, cannot contribute financially, and moving from their place of abode to where they need to respond is an issue. Of course, we use incentive to encourage them. When they come, they should be able to their transport fare, going and coming, and what could also take care for water. So such things happen. So to encourage people to volunteer.
Now, because again, just thinking about it, something has just happened at Ogu. And the message just comes in, and I've not eaten this morning. I don't know whether I'll eat in the afternoon. You're telling me to go and help.
It's definitely a very serious issue.
But that's why the Red Cross is located across all the local governments. It's not a must that I must move from Enugu South to Ogo to respond. There are volunteers
within Ogo
within
axis.
Ogo locality. Yes.
So, what training and preparedness, do you people give these volunteers? And can you share a success story? Let's start with that. You can talk about that training that you give to these volunteers, and can you share a success story that improved a community or improved a group of persons who had passed through some sort of disaster?
Yes, a lot of them. The volunteers are being trained on first aid assistance. It's not just even to a community, even in your home. Anyone that is trained as a volunteer can respond to emergency in your own home, because disaster can happen anywhere. Then, after that training, there are some other trainings. That's after first aid, we have something like basic. There are a lot of trainings. There are different types of response. We have response at the local level. These are response that when you train them at first aid, they will just, maybe if there is an issue, they will just handle it and refer to the hospital. They don't need extra, maybe outside here to come and help. Then there are also response, maybe as sports, foreseen emergencies. We respond to emergency. When you train them, they can respond to any sport activity. There are also emergencies like these volunteers can respond to. Once it's not a large scale, they can attend to it. It's only when we have large scale that we now have our movement partners to be part of it. Then, success stories, a lot of them. We have so many of them in so many communities, especially in Enugu South. We have them because before all these things, we do go for advocacy. We meet the community leaders. We train them, even the community leaders, even the vulnerable in the community are also trained, because we might not be there at that point in time when the disaster happened. So when we train them in that locality or the community or the society where they are, once there is emergency, they will start doing what they know. The ones they know, they will start doing it before the arrival of other volunteers to the scene. Then, like, let's say just someone that is, maybe someone just slept in the morning, you are trying to wake the person up, the person is not responding. If someone in that very place is trained, the person knows how to put that person in recovery position, because at that point in time the person is not more responding. So these are just some of the areas that when you train someone, the person will be able to respond. We move to different communities in Enugu South precisely. We respond to this resilience. We just finished an exercise, Reboma program, flood victim areas. We went to different communities, and after that flooding, they were just given there was an exercise, we call it cash transfer program. A certain amount were given to some of these victims that were affected by flood, just to bring them back to their feet. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, are there any other ones within Enugu? Because I know I have several of them. I've heard about several of them, because these are the kinds of inspiring things that I think that some persons would want to hear and maybe join or add their voices to. And when somebody wants to contribute to what you are doing, not necessarily personal, but even if personal, financially, how do they go about it?
Okay, if somebody is to reach us through our branch office, so it is at the branch office that such discussions are made. We have state chairman, we have a branch secretary. The person can come to the office and discuss with the leadership on what he or she or what the group want to do for Red Cross.
Okay, and so the people could give monies, they can give materials.
Of course.
Anything at all.
Yes.
So do they have this chairman across the 17 local government areas, or you have one office?
We have branch chairman, we have a branch secretary, but at the local government levels we have coordinators.
Okay, so the person has to come and see the chairman and speak on what he's contributing to the Red Cross?
Of course, the person could put a call across. The person must not
have to come.
Yes.
Okay, so then an account will be given for maybe transfers and all of those. The discussions can be made from them.
Because for us, like, we are from Enugu South.
Okay.
We have our account detail that is official account, not personal, that if anybody wants to, we just had our Red Cross week on the 8th of May. It's World Red Cross Day. We went about sensitizing people on what Red Cross does, and we were also seeking support of people, because we told people that Red Cross is open to everybody, whether educated, non-educated, a professional, whatever, you're an engineer, a doctor, a nurse, a pharmacist, an artisan, whatever you do, Red Cross is open for. It is not meant for particular persons, because the essence of Red Cross is to help. Red Cross is, our team this year is actually being on the side of humanity, being able to attend to human need wherever they are found. In our course, our principles help us to discharge our duties effectively. We are neutral. We don't take sides. Okay? We are impartial. We don't, we don't look at faces. Just like what she mentioned earlier, that we go to communities, do need assessment. We don't, just because Mr. A is known to me, I will now put Mr. A's name in the list of people that is going to be helped. So we do need to, and know those who are actually supposed to be helped. We give them tags as a means of identification. Then when it now comes to proper delivery, another set of people, different from people who went to do the need assessment, for transparency will go. The means of identification is that tag. When the person, and people, communities are always happy for such processes. It's not the kind where this one gets something because he knows Mr. A or Mr. B. And most often than not, people will partner with also get credibility. When people see Red Cross with some agencies, they see them as very credible organization because of what they know Red Cross for. So that is how we go about. So we'll talk about support. During our week, we were saying it during our road show that we need support from every member of the community. But why Red Cross was actually formed was because of disaster. The founder of Red Cross, Sir Henry Jane Dunon, was because he was a businessman, a merchant who was traveling. and he got to a place called Solferino. There was a war that lasted for 16 hours and discovered that there were a lot of casualties. He abandoned his business and started thinking about how to take care of those people who were injured. Some persons died, some people were injured. He used schools, churches, and some personal building to attend to those persons. It was after that incident that he came up with the idea that it is necessary that people in every community are trained ahead of time during peacetime, so that when there is war or disaster, those who are trained can actually respond to those emergencies when they occur. And he also pleaded that when aid workers, health workers who are attending to people in war scene should be protected. That's one of the two things he asked for, which was also approved. And that's what brought about the beep we wear. It's a sign of protection. That if anybody sees the beep of Red Cross in a war scene, even if you're a soldier, you don't shoot, because you know that the person is not for any side, whether the winning side or the losing side. So that is actually, Red Cross was formally formed for disaster. It was a disaster that prompted the formation of Red Cross.
How do you ensure your safety, especially for frontline volunteers and workers? Because we've seen, especially with this Gaza and Israel fight and war, we've seen some of them how they get killed brutally in that crossfire. That is far away, but here, I know it's a global organization, but here in Nigeria, how do you ensure safety of your staff and of your volunteers?
Like we mentioned earlier, when you come to a scene of disaster, the first and foremost thing to do is to check whether the environment is safe. Assuming the people who are causing the mayhem are not people who are reasonable, who could actually understand that this is Red Cross emblem, that these people are not supposed to be harmed in the course of discharging their duty. Of course, you should stay clear. You don't just go and put yourself into serious danger because you want to respond. But if for any reason somebody responding and something goes wrong because of harm, Red Cross also have a mechanism of taking care of such person and the household. So those things are part of what Red Cross. It is actually when anybody becomes a member of Red Cross, you sign code of conduct, and such confers to you some level of protection and taking care of in case something goes wrong when you are legitimately responding to emergency. So, but we always advocate that people should ensure that the environment in which you are responding is safe first, because it is when you are alive that you can save life. What we do is to save life, but it is only somebody who is alive that can save life.
Yes. Secondly, we also work with the security agencies. That's why we said we don't just work alone. We go hand in hand.
We work collaboratively.
Yes. So they will also alert us if there is any need for us to maybe to leave the environment at that point in time, or tell us, okay, you people are safe to respond to emergencies now. So that's how we go about it.
Do you at any point think that it's important to be armed, especially going into a place where it's volatile? Like we're talking Northeast, for instance. We know of how bad it has been in Borno, Belgi, how volatile the security situation is in that place. How are you people dealing with that matter? And would you advocate for Red Cross agents? I mean, you just want to do good, but we've seen people who have been killed trying to do good. Do you do that? Do you advocate for that? That's one. Then secondly, the issues that we have had in the North Central in the past, even recently, Benue, Plateau, Borno, where farmers have even in Enugu here, Ehamufu has a bit of an issue with that. How are people reacting to it? Do you think that something can be done to improve on your mitigating power, to reach out to more people? Can you speak to those issues?
Regarding advocating for being armed, it is not part of the original aim of Red Cross.
Not necessarily being armed, like armed every time. Like if you're going to a certain area that you know is still very, very volatile and insecure.
No, we don't.
Okay.
We've never thought of that.
Okay,
And
but you work with the
like you
security
said,
agents,
we work
you know,
with security
to
agencies who
bring in cover.
tells us, yes, whether the place is safe for us to function or not. If the place is not safe, we stay away. Because responding is not do or die affair. Because what if somebody go to respond and the person gets killed? Will the person respond at the end of the day? No. So that's why the best we could do is maybe aftermath. Go to the community. Most at that point, one of the things we'll be doing is how to get the people back on their feet, recovery, how to get their livelihood, giving them mental support. But that's also part of what we do, giving them mental support through education. Then how to their means of livelihood if it is damaged. So we do as much as we can, but not that there's very high. There's high likelihood for one to be harmed, and we go. No, we don't do that.
So the other part of the question, I think I asked you about the other part of the question. Okay, the issue of, you know, getting involved, what we have with Farmers Headers Clash in Plateau, Benue, you know, how have you guys helped those communities in at least with what they can use for the meantime? Because we know that in Benue State there are several people who are still in IDP camp, they're not returned back home.
No, in such circumstances, it is the security agencies that are supposed to be at the forefront. The only thing...
No, I'm talking about helping them.
That is what it helping. It is we'll move in after the incident, and when the people return, how to help the people resettle. That's where we come in.
Okay, some of them are still in IDP camps, so in Benue,
yes.
and even in
Red Cross also visits such IDP
places. Okay.
To talk to people like the mental health issue, because it's very, very important. There are some persons, because they lose their livelihood, from there they begin to degenerate, and before you know what is happening, the person could die or get into serious mental crisis. So what Red Cross does is, in collaboration with the agents, the government agencies that are directly responsible, because in Nigeria, when you talk of internally displaced person, there is a government agency that is responsible for that. So Red Cross works in collaboration with those agencies to see how those people can be restored to their ancestral home if it's possible. If not, how to resettle them in a safer place.
You want to say something?
Yes, those people that are in IDP camp, I know that relief materials are given to them. Relief materials in something like food, shelter. They are all. In fact, I know somehow they were evacuated from where they were to that ID camp. That's just the work of Nigerian Red Cross Society.
Now, how much of collaborations do you people have with other NGOs in these kinds of things? Beyond, I know you said something about your collaboration with the government, which is normal. I mean, security agencies and the role they play, but how about other NGOs? Is there a collaboration between Red Cross and other NGOs in matters like this?
Yeah, you know, Red Cross is independent. I think Red Cross can only be involved in maybe with other organizations if that organization needs the assistance of Nigerian Red Cross Society. That's when we come in. It's only the government. In fact, all the major stakeholders that we work with are from the government. Then, if there is any assistance that other NGO, non-governmental organizations need from us, they will approach the Nigerian Red Cross Society for that.
Recently, during our celebration, we had health outreaches in some communities within NUSA. One of major NGOs in the collaborated with us,
yes,
and offered some services in the course of the outreach. So we do have collaboration with other NGOs.
Okay, so how do people reach out to you Because I'm trying to understand how you work. If some, for instance, somebody is distressed somewhere in Nsukka, do they call you directly and then you start taking action to reach out to government agencies, or you would advise that the person calls the government agency and then the government agency contacts you? Like how does it work? How do you guys even verify that what the call that you have received is even true? You know, and how do you know a certain disaster has happened in certain places? Do you receive calls? What's your modus, operandi?
Like we said, we'll have divisions in each local government. I'll have our members.
Okay.
Most often than not, when a disaster occurs, it's even our members that bring to our notice that so there's a fire outbreak.
Okay.
In Ubomo, there is a flood.
But it's not everywhere that your members are located. There are places that your members are not, that disasters have happened, and maybe people don't even have their contact to call anybody who they know that can assist.
It is possible. What I'm talking of, some of the ones that happens anywhere our members are found. If such thing happens, they bring it to our notice. If it is what we cannot directly do on our own, we'll get across to the government agents responsible. Are you aware that so and so thing is going on in so and so community? They say that yes or no and swing into action and call us on board and we'll go about it. But if it is the one we don't have our members, it might be difficult for us to know. It's like I said, we are represented in every local government, and the age of technology, I don't think anything will be happening in a local government and people will not know beyond that local government.
Well, yeah, I get you, but again, we've seen how certain situations have been taken care of in this country. Some people would, in a bid to suppress certain information from going out, they tend to want to cover up certain things, so it is possible that maybe some persons will be in some certain areas and they are not able to reach out to people who are from the Red Cross or from NEMA, and then they don't know where to go to. Is there like a number, your social media platforms people can reach out to when they are faced with those kinds of disaster?
We have social media handles.
Okay. Do you have them? Can you tell us what they are?
For such, of course, that's what we can share with, like when we were talking with Mr. Malbeck, I said that as an organization, that are way we are structured. Like when he first called me, I told him that on my own, I can just come and talk about Red Cross.
Okay.
Without getting proper permission from the leadership. So for the ladies, we'll have, even at the branch level, we'll have a branch communication officer whose duty is to manage those handles, those social media handles. So it's for him to know, in collaboration with the branch secretary, when to give it out and when not to give it out. So it's not for us to decide on that.
Okay, I mean, social media, it's already been exposed, so it's just for me to check it and I'll find it, but it's fine. I'll let that slide.
So that it not be that it is Chukwukelu that, some people can try to pick something out of.
Social media, I mean, it's already exposed.
Of course, now.
It's out there, so when I'm asking you, I'm just trying to help the people who are watching, so I'm not like implicating you in anything per se. Do you think climate change has made your work harder? And how so?
Yes, it has done so. And even in the case of climate change, our activities are also contributing to that, human activities. It's just like the Rebuma exercise we're talking of, resilience building, through stakeholders engagement in anticipatory action. So all these are geared out. Even we'll have a climate change group where they're supposed to be advocating for people's activities to be right. The other time we went about tree planting. Unfortunately, these days in our country, I don't know what you see, somebody go buy a land that are full of trees, he will cut down all the trees, build a house, seal the soil, use interlocking ties, no single tree. And for the person, he or she is doing right, without knowing that you're actually causing more harm to the environment than good. And also, you are also harming yourself. So, and most of these things people don't, each time I pass a place and people are cutting down tree, the question I always ask, I hope you have a plan of planting another. Some of them will be like, what is your business? So, but it is actually, because it is this, our human activities that is also aiding the climate change issue that is affecting us seriously, and is also compounding our work instead of making it easier. But if every human being knows that he or she have a role to play, because when we talk about climate change, a lot of people don't, even educated people don't think they have a role in mitigating the impact of climate change. We think it is meant for NESRE as a government agency. What are you doing? We have a place, you have a community where you look around, you don't see a single tree. And for them, they are doing well. In the evening, everybody brings out power generating sets and generate all sorts of emission. And of course, trees will help us handle some of those things and give us what we need, but there'll be no trees. Some people, for sake of getting firewood and charcoal, go to a place, cut all the trees, deforestation, and for them, what is on their mind is just how to earn a living. They will not be thinking of what will be the impact of that actions in years to come. So that is actually one of the major problems that's compounding our work as emergency responders and disaster management workers.
Fantastic. We just have to leave it here. Thank you so much, you both, for speaking to us about disaster management and your activities in Red Cross. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're speaking with Victor Nnabuike and, of course, Mrs. Eucharia Onwuegbunam. They are both from disaster management experts, and they'll be giving us insights into some of the interesting discussions as regards their activities at the Red Cross. Many thanks again for your time.
Thank you so much.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.